Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in Legacy. Today we're looking at Merfolk. Merfolk is an aggro-tempo tribal deck that uses the synergies between various Merfolk creatures to disrupt and overrun the opponent. The primary path of victory is playing a number of cheap Merfolk and bolstering them with various lords such as Master of the Pearl Trident and Lord of Atlantis. And because those cards grant Island Walk, the deck plays Tideshaper, which disrupts an opponent's land while also making your creatures unblockable. Additionally, many decks in Legacy run islands to begin with anyway, so Merfolk's creatures are often unblockable regardless. Other important Merfolk include Vidalian Hexcatcher, which is half Lord and half Force Spike, letting you sack either itself or other fodder Merfolk. Silvergill Adept and Zviolin to draw more cards. Adept provides another body and sack fodder for Hexcatcher, and Zviolin somewhat protects itself and your other Merfolk via ward. And True Name Nemesis, which is immune to most removal and can attack or block without repercussion since it's invincible against other creatures. Other Merfolk that are sometimes but not always played include Emperor Mihail II as a top deck card advantage engine, Harbinger of the Tides or Merfolk Trickster to disrupt enemy creatures, Hull Breacher to stymie cantrips, being especially good against Brainstorm and similar multi-draw effects, and Mistcaller out of the sideboard to beat decks like Reanimator and Dredge. Additionally, the deck may play a few non-Merfolk creatures such as Brazen Borrower and Subtlety. For all of these creatures, Aether Vial is great as it always is in these kinds of go-wide decks since it helps out-tempo the opponent and put threats in at flash speed. Opening hands with it are far better than hands without it. Like any good blue Legacy deck, Merfolk play Force of Will and can play Force of Negation if needed. Rounding out the land base are Cavern of Souls to force Merfolk past counterspells, and Wasteland for tempo or to disrupt land strategies. Merfolk may also opt to play Chalice of the Void since their only 1-drops are Tideshaper and Aether Vial, the latter of which you should play on turn 1 anyway. Because it's entirely blue, Merfolk has more limited options than other blue decks in what sideboard cards it can play. It's generally slower than other aggressive decks, especially if it doesn't start with Aether Vial. But on the other hand, it's better equipped for disruption, especially against spell-based decks. Tips and tricks. Lord of Atlantis and Master of the Pearl Trident only grant Island Walk to other creatures, not themselves. You need 2 to be able to attack with everything unhindered. You can activate Aether Vial on upkeep to flash in a lower mana value creature before you tick up its counters. Tideshaper's land transforming kicker ability is the reason to play it since you have Island Walk lords, although you can play it turn 1 or off an Aether Vial if you have a fast beatdown line. You don't need to reveal a Merfolk from Silvergill Adept's trigger if you vial it in. If you do cast it normally, reveal the next Merfolk you're about to play or the one that's least relevant to minimize giving your opponent useful information. Otawara can bounce a number of your own cards for value, notably Silvergill Adept to draw another card, Tideshaper to change which land it's transforming into an island, Chalice of the Void to replay it for a different number, and for any creature to save it from removal. If there's a specific spell you know you'll want to counter with Hexcatcher but your opponent might have enough mana to pay for the counterspell tax, you can preemptively wasteland them. If you put Chalice of the Void on 2 counters for some reason, you can still get your Merfolk past it with Aether Vial or Cavern of Souls. Although True Name Nemesis is immune to most things, there are still effects that can kill it, examples being non-damage based sweepers and removal that doesn't target it like Chaos Defiler. Zviolin has to be already in play for ward to protect another Merfolk. You can't vial it in response to removal. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Merfolk. Thank you to my supporters, and if you enjoy these videos, consider supporting the channel, and take care.